Hey, it's Joshua here with another edition of Mortgage Clarity. And today we're going to talk about, can it ever make sense for a homeowner to sell their home and go buy a new home when they would be walking away from a 3.5% interest rate, maybe doubling that, stepping into something like maybe 6.5%? This is a question that actually is causing a big problem in our market right now, and why we have so low inventory, among many other reasons. But because normal buyers and sellers that would be in the market kind of trading inventory, they decide they want to move into a bigger house, a smaller house, across town, near a park, where the case might be. Lots of reasons why people just want to move. But because you're sitting in a rate that's at record lows, it's like 3.5%, 3%. They find it really difficult to justify walking away from 3.5% to step into a new home at 6.5%, let's just say, and that could make sense. So we're going to look at an example here. Now, this is an example, so this is not for everybody for sure. Everybody's situation is different, but there are a lot of Americans that fall into the example we're going to go over here, where selling your home and walking away from that 3.5% rate might allow you to get the home that you want and actually not increase your monthly household expense, or maybe increase it but by a much more modest amount than you might think. So let's go ahead and jump into some numbers here. Now, I'm going to try to use some software that I have that's not really designed to do this. So I'm going to do some manipulation to get it to kind of show up here. But I'll explain it so you'll see what I'm doing. So this is a really good example. This is a client of mine who bought a home back in 2018 for about $420,000. And during that time, home values have gone up. If you own a home, you know what I'm talking about. So now it's worth $600,000. So over $250,000 in equity. This, people, is why owning a home is one of the best things you can do, in my opinion. So all this equity here, like a lot of people, they refinanced back in 2021, lowered their rate down to like 3.5%, and sitting on a really nice principal and interest payment of $1,572. And this is where we're getting stuck, where people are like, man, I just don't want to walk away from that. And I get it. I don't want to spend more money if I don't have to either. However, we really want to look at the whole picture. Now, if we come over here, we're going to see debt that this client had. And this is actually more common than you might think. During the last year and a half, with the government, the spending kind of eased, and so there's no more of that money coming in, consumers have gone back to, actually did not change their spending habits and gone back to borrowing debt. And so now we see record amount of consumer debt on consumers and record lows on consumer saving. During the same time, the cost of borrowing on credit card debts and the cost of getting car loans has gone up. The feds have raised those feds fund rate. That directly impacts things like credit cards, car loans, home equity lines of credits. So my client, well, they have a really good rate here. They're sitting on $107,000 in other types of debt with monthly cost of $2,222. So the question then becomes, if I sell, I get 100% of my equity. What happens if I take my equity, I pay off all my debt, and then take my remaining equity and buy a home? So let's just take a look at that. So this is where I'm going to do a little bit of manipulation here. I'm going to show you, if we come down here, we're going to pay off all the debt. So there it is, paid it all off. And so right there, that's $910. Actually, it's more than that, because this is assuming you're going to finance this debt. But we're actually sold the house, we paid it off. So here's that principal interest we looked at. But we're going to go out and buy a new home. So for that, I come over here, and I've done kind of an example of what it would look like if we went out, bought a $625,000 home. So we did a minor upgrade, $25,000, but maybe it's in a better neighborhood. And we're going to go with the rate of 6.5%. So we're almost doubling, not quite, but almost doubling that interest rate and paying a few points to get that rate there. And now this new mortgage that we have is $3,849. So that's the new principal and interest payment and taxes and homeowners insurance. So it's got it all in there. So what do we look like now if we come back? Again, just to show you how this works, is I'm going to go ahead to get this number back to where we want it. I'm just going to go ahead and add a line here saying that we're going to call this additional debt. So we're going to borrow more money on the new home, $74,500. I'm going to add that debt, and then again, continue. And what that does is, you can see in this scenario, what we've done is, currently the consumer had all this debt. They were actually spending about $4,272 per month between their mortgage payment, their taxes and insurance, their installment loans, and credit card. We sold the house. We paid off all that debt we had there, and then we transferred $125,000 as a down payment on the next one. And now our household payment's at $3,843. So we're actually in a better situation right now, and we still didn't use all the equity. I think we have about $20,000 of equity we didn't use. So for apples to apples, they could choose to maybe buy a higher price point home and maybe have a little bit mortgage insurance if they didn't add additional down payment. But what you can see here is that just because they walked away from a 3.5% interest rate and stepped into a 6.5% interest rate, because they leveraged that equity correctly, they're in a much better situation now than they were before, and they have the home that they like. Now, if you're like me and you think interest rates are going to go down in the future, what this means for them is they're able to save today on getting all that debt paid off today. They're able to get the house that they like today at today's prices. And then if rates continue to go down, if they do, prices will go up, but they've locked that in because they own the home. Then you'll have the opportunity that they had in the past to be able to do that refinance and improve the situation even more. So I hope this example helped you. If you like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up, share it with your friends and family. Because again, a lot of people need to get this information out there that when you're looking at if it makes sense to sell and buy, don't look at just the mortgage. Have a professional help you look through and see what would it look like if you leverage your equity from your current home as you're transferring to the new home, and can you actually get to a better position? And again, here in this situation, again, if the client did want to step up maybe to that $700,000 home, they could do that. And likely with that difference there, it'll be very close to the same monthly expenses they have now, but again, with the home that they love and that they want. So again, I hope you found it helpful. Until next time, have a great day.